Welcome back to the channel. I want to show you guys how to use the AI Face Refinement tool. Here's our shot. We got the original on the left and the refinement on the right here. So first you want to grab Resolve Effects Refine, just Face Refinement. Drop that on a node. And you're going to go up to the top here and there's a Detect Faces in Frame. You could connect that. You'll get this green box. But basically, there's this Find in Frame button here. If we click that, you'll see it changes to like an AI outline of all the parameters here. And we need to track it with our forward and backward arrow here. And now that's going to outline and follow the shot. It's basically a bunch of power windows roping off anything inside the frame. And then we have controls for each of these parameters. You can move them around if you needed to and adjust them a little bit, but it'll basically add all the keyframes in automatically when you track it. So now I'm going to hit Shift F so we can look at the screen a little closer and grab the tools here. Now you could have show overlay on and off. We have skin isolation here and a show mask. Now this works like any other key tool. Anything that's white will be the affected area and anything that's black will be ignored. So here is your typical key tools like range, tint, and temp. So as we move it around, you could see it adjusts the mask's ability to block out certain spots or exclude them. And it's pretty flexible. There's a checkbox here limiting it to the face or the box that we had around. And then we have a region size and a softness, kind of smooths it out. And then we have flat skin area only, and we have exclude mouth, and there's some other tools for that. Then there's a denoise mask, so you can tighten that up a little bit, and then a refine mask as well, makes it a little bit sharper. So that's pretty much your mask section. It's just called skin isolation. So I'm gonna click show mask off. Then we have the beauty section, just called skin texture. There's a few different ways we can use it. There's beauty automatic, smoothing, and beauty advanced. So there's these two basic parameters of amount and scale on the default one, and then we have a smoothing. And as you can see, if we crank the smoothing up, it just blurs it out. And then you have some detail. And then there's the advanced version, and you get all these other parameters here with diffuse, lighting, and texture. Move some parameters around. You can see if I go to the left on the threshold, it almost sharpens the image. So you find a good happy medium. As a little goes a long way with this tool. Here's the diffuse lighting. It kind of softens the direct light on your subject. We have a threshold and add texture. So you can see if we go too far to the left, it just makes it look strange. And then this one almost sharpens it a bit more. So you'll have to play around with that. Then we have recovery amount, and that's pretty much your skin texture. Then we have skin grading, which is pretty cool. It works just as you would if you were to power window a face. There's contrast, midtones, tint, desaturate. So you could see just in the shadows, it kind of desaturates it. We have a shine removal. So if we look at the tip of his nose here, the cheekbones, if we move that back and forth, you can see it kind of takes the extreme highlights away. Then we have side lighting, which is pretty cool. If you happen to have a shot where your subject is lit poorly on one side, you can actually control it with the side lighting. So if I grab lift left here, for example, and slide that up and down, you can see we're getting a little light. And there's a lift, gamma, and a gain. And then there's an area size and a bias. Let me crank the right up here for you. And then we'll mess with the area size. You can see it changes the flaring of the light and then which side the light is on. It's called bias. An area softness, which feathers it in and out. So if you wanted to manipulate some of the lighting, you can. Pretty nice feature to have. Then we have some other parameters that might be used for like female subjects or something. We have eyeshadow, lips, teeth, blush. There's an eye parameter here, which is pretty neat. There's a sharpen and a brighten. So here, if I move brighten, you can see the eyes get a little brighter. It works better, obviously, in motion. Kind of gets a little bit of his eyelid here while we're doing this. But here's eye light. You can just lighten the sockets of the eyes, essentially. That looks like that. And then there's some eye bag removal. So if we look at his under his eyes, that smooths it out. I could probably use some for myself here. And then we have lips, teeth, blush, forehead. So if I go smooth on the forehead, you can see it does a pretty nice job right under his hat here of smoothing that region. And then what I think really sells this tool is the last parameter here called grain. I'm going to crank up a little bit of the texture here and smooth it a little bit more just to exaggerate for this tutorial. So let's really sort of soften them up a bit more. And here's before and here's after. Still got some of the brightness on the eyes going on and the highlight. So here we go. You can see it softens all through here. And let's even go a little bit more extreme here. Now it's definitely looking like altered and soft, but let's go down to grain and I'm going to click the add grain to skin areas checkbox. And then we have strength, size, softness, and saturation. So I'm going to crank the strength up here until I could see some visible change here right over his face. And if I click this on and off, you can see it just gives that almost filmic look that helps hide the fact that you actually went in and touched it up. Here's before, here's after. Smoother, but still has that film quality with the grain. And then you can always change the grain size too if it was like an older film with larger grain print, something like that. And that's about it. So a pretty cool tool. A little goes a long way, so don't be too heavy-handed. Always maybe dial it too much and bring it back. All right, thanks for watching. Hope that helps, and I'll see you guys in the next one.